Starfield had unlimited potential when it came to its development. The main drawback and actual limitation of Starfield is Bethesda itself. What Starfield was trying to achieve from Bethesda was nothing short of amazing. Now, I need to repeat that. What it was trying to achieve, not what it did. The issue is that Bethesda had terrible execution when it actually came to releasing Starfield and its recent expansion, Shattered Space. I mean, just a few examples in of itself. Starfield has the most cities out of any Bethesda game possible. The issue? They are too big, too wide, and there's not enough content to fill into them. Starfield has the most amount of exploration that you could ever ask for in a Bethesda game. The issue? It is nothing like any other Bethesda game's exploration ever. Starfield has an absolute, at least in my opinion, 10 out of 10 shipbuilder. Let's be honest here. You can create some pretty awesome, ships out of their shipbuilder. I feel like it's probably the best part about Starfield. The issue? All you can do with the ship is fight with it and then fast travel from point to point. There's no actual space exploration. There's no actual space flight that you get to do outside of fast traveling. It's really sad. Starfield has the most amount of dialogue out of any Bethesda game ever. Over 150, I'm pretty sure, 1,000 lines of dialogue. The issue? Barely any of the characters are memorable. The majority of the quest lines are boring when it comes down to it, other than some of the combat sections and some of the big moments in the quest lines. The majority of Starfield's writing is just poor. And I feel like that can summarize the entirety of the game. It has amazing ideas of what it wants to be. It wants to be a space simulator where you get to explore wherever you want, literally. They've given you a universe of, a galaxy of 1,000 planets, moons. You can go explore, do whatever the hell you want, build outposts, build little cities, explore bigger cities, explore smaller towns, help people, kill people. You can do whatever you want. The issue, it is held back by Bethesda's limitations and just everything that Bethesda is. Starfield is fundamentally held back not only by Bethesda, but by the creation engine as a whole. And I'm not gonna lie when I'm gonna say this now. The physics engine is probably one of the most impressive parts about the creation engine. You shove 1 million or 1,000 potatoes into a ship and you let them all fall, that shit can be beautifully immersive. It falls beautifully. And that's the one thing I'll always give the creation engine. The physics are awesome. The issue, the actual technology that goes behind it is almost 3 decades old now. It's too old of an engine, and it doesn't have that many upgrades. Yes, these are the best graphics that Bethesda has produced ever. But compared to everything else in the industry, we are still, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Again, amazing ideas, right? Brand new sort of, NPC interaction, right? So much NPC interaction, everyone has dialogue, they all go about their day, except you could probably follow a Starfield NPC and they wouldn't go anywhere outside of one just actual little area where you could go to Diamond City in Fallout 4 and an NPC would do his job, they would go to bed, because it's a structured, smaller city, not this unnecessarily massive actual city like New Atlantis, for example. And Starfield isn't even outdated on its technical design as well, because now they touted Creation Engine 2 as the biggest upgrade compared to Morrowind and Oblivion. And if we go back to that time, that is a massive upgrade, right? Huge. From NPC dialogue, from just the FOV of things in general, from the render distances. Morrowind was technically, obviously, compared to now, garbage, right? But it was still a great game in certain ways. Oblivion, massive upgrade in terms of technology. So going from, let's say, Fallout 4 to Starfield, that was their next biggest, evolution of the creation engine. The issue of this so-called evolution is that it didn't feel like it. Starfield does not feel up to date with modern day games, and Shattered Space is their example to compete with modern day expansions. Let's be honest here. Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, I know now, the complete difference is that game was supposed to be a 2.0 and it's massively different, right? But this is the biggest DLC for their biggest game, right? This is something that's supposed to really usher in the player base back to Starfield, because let's be honest here, this is their weakest title in terms of players, and right now in terms of sales. Obviously it's still their newest game, but I mean, Fallout 76, which was a shit show at launch, a literal shit show. It was probably one of the worst performing games in terms of critical acclaim and player feedback ever. And yet it still has more players now than Starfield does. And Starfield is Bethesda's, unequivocally, their biggest game ever. Starfield's cities, Starfield's gameplay, Starfield's exploration, Starfield's characters, Starfield's story, everything feels outdated compared to games we got in the same year. Baldur's Gate 3, and that was the Game of the Year winner in a game that I adore, excels at everything it does, and it destroys Starfield in terms of innovation from its previous title, and from Larian Studios' previous actual output for a game as well. Bethesda's last game, I won't even say 76 is his example because it's like a B team situation, but Fallout 4 was their last big release, right? Massive game, majority of people loved it, obvious criticisms in terms of people's not enjoyment of lack of role playing, correct? Starfield tried to usher that back in, right? With a non-voice protagonist and all of these different things to try to make Starfield seem like Bethesda was back to form. But in reality, what Starfield was trying to become is they were trying to resurrect an old Bethesda, an old corpse. They were trying to beat the corpse of the old Bethesda to try to wake it back up to see if they could innovate into the Western RPG genre. And they can't do that because the old Bethesda is long gone, and it's really disappointing. And Starfield overall, again, outdated and terribly executed. It is unbelievable that a game that was in development for, let's be honest here, let's call it since 2015, for over 8 years, and they were thinking about this for over 25 years in the making, right? Technically, their longest developed game, right? They've been thinking about this for 2 decades, and this is what they had to show for it. And they even Todd Howard, he said they were waiting for the proper technology to come out so they could actually get this game shipped and done, and yet they were still held back by the creation engine. They could, realistically, they have to have another massive overhaul for Elder Scrolls 6, because the main issues that they still have are the gameplay mechanics, are the loading screens, and don't even get me started on the loading screens. That was one of the biggest issues of Starfield, is that every single time you wanted to go somewhere new, because the creation engine is so held back in terms of the actual technology it still uses of an almost 3-decade-old engine, it is so held back. It has to have a loading screen in between your ship and in between the outside, and you can still see the outside. If you go to New Atlantis, you can see the entire city from your ship, but you have to go through a loading screen to go from ship to, it makes no sense. I truly believe if Starfield as a concept was given to a different studio with different technology and different up-to-date modernization of RPG formulas, we would have a better game. Understandably, Bethesda's babies are Fallout and Skyrim and Elder Scrolls, correct? So they tried to make Elder Scrolls and Fallout into a space game, but yet that's not what they should have done. All Starfield is their previous game with a space skin expanded for no reason and just full of loading screens. But that's all I really have to say for this video. If you did enjoy, consider leaving a like, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We are unbelievably close to 1,500 subscribers, as well as if you want to become a member, you can click the link down below in the description. As low as $1, it really helps support me, and you get early access to all my videos. Thank you all for watching once again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.